There you are.
I remember the first group of traffic cases that were brought to Ghana Make a Difference while I was here. That was in 2016. I remember they came in, and the next morning, one of them went to I think he was going to brush his teeth, and he actually broke the faucet because he's never used water and tap water. And so in his attempt to open the faucet, he actually broke it.
We focus on 3 types of children. We're a children's shelter. So kids are brought to us from different NGO partners we have, and also the social welfare department here in Ghana. And the 3 types of kids we focus on are those who have been trafficked, and labor trafficking mostly, those who have been abandoned, and then those with special needs. And they get brought to GMAD, to Ghana Make a Difference. We have a whole dedicated staff here for those kids. Our social workers.
And so typically a child would, by regulation, they are to be here 6 to 9 months, but that is only in principle. In practice, they are here a year and a half, 18 months to 24 months. And after this period of time, the kids go back to, we either reunify them to foster families, adoptive families, or biological families. Now in Ghana, we practice the extended families, and so when I say biological families, I'm not just talking about the nuclear family, but I'm talking about uncles, aunties, granduncles, grandaunties, and all of these family members. And so while the child is here, we work with state actors like the police, work with the social department for social welfare, and many other we engage many other stakeholders like community leaders and other people, and we identify the families of these kids.
I would calculate we're getting pretty close to 250 kids have passed through our doors. About 180 of those have been reintegrated back into society. They're all trafficked from Lake Volta. So that's where the rescues take place. The kids basically get sold into slave labor, working in the fishing industry there. So this is probably our most typical case. The parents are experiencing extreme poverty, struggling to keep their kids all fed. Maybe a distant relative or an acquaintance comes and says, I know a man, they'll teach your kid a skill, they'll teach him how to fish, and they're gonna feed him twice a day. And they're gonna give you $20. And this seems kind of like a no-brainer in their uneducated and desperate state. So they really don't know the magnitude of that decision. So oftentimes they say, yep, here's my child, teach him, he gets 2 meals a day, this is great. And oftentimes these same parents will go looking for their kids in a couple weeks when it seems off or when they haven't heard back, and by that time their kid's gone. They're in the industry, they're being passed around, impossible to find for those.
My name is Doche Avo. My mom gave me to some man to go and work with him as daily. So I was working with the man for so many years. And later on, the man gave my mom, in our Ghanaian money, he said 1 million. So he gave the money to my mom. And he said he wants me to work with him again for 4 years. I spent 2 years with him there. The IGM, they came and they are taking us here so that we can come and go to school and do some other things so that us too we can enjoy our life. So they don't want us to be there and working. So that is not good.
So some of our kids have been trafficked in as young as 4 years old. Those kids are often untangling nets on the shore, grabbing out little fish, stuff like that. It seems crazy. Most of them are older, 8, 9, 10, and early teens. And so they are out on the boats, bailing out water, untangling nets down in the water, pulling up nets for their catch. And so it's quite hazardous work. The boatmaster's not going to jump in to untangle a net. It's always a kid's job. And almost every single kid that comes to us from Lake Volta has these stories of abusive masters, forced them to do these very labor-intensive, high-risk jobs. A lot of our kids come to Ghana Make a Difference with different scars.
My name is Christopher Zoto, and I'm from Volta region. When I was 3 months years old, my mother left me and traveled to another place. So I lived with my uncle and I grew up. We got to a town, a point. I want him to take me to school, and he said, "I'm not allowed to go to school because He wanted me to help him to fish in a boat. And that time I was 8 years old, and they trained me how to swim and how to go under the water. So when I was 9 years, I started going to fish. When we go to the catch fish, we wake up in the morning 5 o'clock. We will go to the to fish like whole day, 24 hours. We will not eat, we will not do anything, like just fishing. And me too, I'm the one the same time going under the water. When the net catch some trees or anything, I'll go and remove it. He can beat me, do anything to me that he wants. So it come to the point, he said to me physically that he wanted to kill me. And because he cannot kill me, so when we are working, he'll beat me and like do certain things that are, like will let me die. But me too, I like, because God helped me, so like I'm not dying. So he give me to another person. And when we are going to the river, we catch fish, we do the work. Like the way I start the work with the man, he see that no, I'm a good person, so he wanted to help me.
Most of the girls you see around here, they are coming from domestic servitude. They are coming from other forms of abuses like sex, early marriages, sexual offenses. A lot of them were victims of domestic servitude. So what domestic servitude is typically in Ghana you have this practice where an uncle or an auntie or an extended family relation can come from my child. I have 5 kids and I'm struggling to take care of them, and so I could give her one of my kids. They will go work for this person. It could even be a friend, and all they are doing is house chores. They are denied access to education. They don't go to school. They probably eat once a day or twice a day because feeding is expensive in Ghana. And so the child just is virtually maltreated. They use them for housework. And so a lot of the girls, that is what they have gone through, and that is why they are here.
My name is Lavesta Abnanyamiche. It was not a name given by my families. It was someone who named me by that name. Abna was the name given to me because dad's families did not want to name me after their names. I was born at Asimfosu at the Central Region. And when I was born, because of my situation, so my family did not want to take care of me. They wanted to kill me. And so my mom did not want to, and so she took me and we went to a village at the Eastern Region, and so that's the place we were staying. I went to the orphanage when I was 6 years. There was a teacher there, like he treats me like his own child, and he named me by that name, and I think I like it, and that orphanage I went, the woman treating me badly. Like sometimes the kids will tell the woman that I've done this, and it's not true. She'll beat me. And so the workers there thought we are witch because they don't like me. So every friend I take, they thought I give the friend bad advice. And so, see, sometimes when people don't like you, there is no reason why they don't like you. But I think it's because of how I am. I came at GMAD when I was 11 and I'm now almost 15.
You know, our in-country partners, IJM, they'll rescue these kids and then they're brought through to Ghana Make a Difference. Sometimes they've been on the lake for years. Our social workers try to get all the information we can out of them about parents' names and what villages they remember living in. And then we start the process of reunification. We go out, we try to find out where their parents, what happened that led these kids to trafficking. And in best case scenario, the parents have been looking for their kids and they love their kids. So then there's a bit of education that goes on, a few different visits, and then there's like a formal contract. The kid has to be in school. So it's usually quite organized in conjunction with like the Ghana police, and they'll go out on their speedboat and they'll find these other boats, question them, and usually they have files and they're looking for specific kids, and they find them, get them in their boat and bring them here. I believe that IJM representative said 50,000 was his estimate of kids on the lake.
And the police take us from the sea and they say they don't want us to be if you are guilty. Yeah, so I don't work with one person. If I work with this person, I'll go to here. So there are more than 5. And they pick me from the man.
So many of the kids who come to the home, especially those from the Volta Lake who are rescued from the lake, it's a survival of the fittest. Many of them have been, they were sold out, and so on the lake, it's the strong survives. And so when they get into this environment, they come here with that same mentality. The goal is to do everything you can survive. And so even when they are playing with their peers, when you give them food, I notice something interesting when kids first get here. Because there is so much lack out there with certain basic things like food, clothing, and some of these things, we change their wardrobes every 2 months or 3 months. When you give them new clothes, they don't wear them. They'll hoard the new clothes and wear the old ones. And sometimes you see them in tattered clothes and you're like, no, we've given you clothes. Why are you doing this? And then they just don't want to wear it. They have this attitude of they want to hoard, they want to save. Because to them, out there is always a constant lack of it. And so it's I want to keep this so that when the time comes, I can use it. So there is that mentality, and it goes to even food. When you give them food initially, because there is no food out there, because they are hungry out there, when they get here, you give them food. Sometimes you serve them breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you tell them when they get here first, we give them an orientation. We tell them food is assured, breakfast is assured, lunch is assured, dinner is assured. But sometimes there is still the element of mistrust. They don't trust what you're really saying, because out there, parents say that, but the lunch doesn't come, the dinner doesn't come. And so when they get here, you tell them, this is your breakfast, eat it. We have policies like you don't take meals to the kids' rooms, you don't take meals to certain places. But you see them, they want to tie them in plastic bags, they want to run to the room and hide the food under their beds, because to them, they think if they don't do that, they will starve at lunch. Normally in the Ghanaian society, with most of these kids, when they first get here, when you're trying to communicate to them, be patient. Say 2 kids get into a fight and you tell them, don't worry, I'll resolve the issue. They don't trust that you would resolve the issue. They think they would have to resolve it themselves. And so one of the initial signs you see when that change begins is you begin to see that they are more patient one with another. You begin to see that natural transition, the anger and all that. They begin to trust the adults. Because where they come from, obviously, there's no trust. That trust has been broken many times. So they begin to trust adults like nannies. They begin to trust the staff that they're working with. So when the staff says, do it that way, do it this way, they tend to trust you more. And that is the first sign I usually see with these kids. And then you want to go to area right there? The next 3-4 years, I think GMAD we'll continue to run the shelter, we'll continue to do what we are doing, but I think we'll probably be in a position to help more kids.
Right as we're speaking, bricks are being made for our family unit housing, which will make it so we can bring in 80 more kids to this facility. These family unit houses, some of the kids are extremely difficult, if not impossible, to place back in families.
They have to embrace it. But that is why we have them here, so that we have social workers, we have other people, and so as a home we have a program. So we have what we call art therapies, we have TFCBT, we have counseling methods that we implement in the home to make sure that the kids embrace it in the right way, because if they don't do it in the right way, it could be catastrophic. It could trigger memories that could lead to suicide and other related issues. And so as much as possible, we want them to embrace it and learn from the experiences that they have had. We believe that many of our kids are stronger today because of the experiences they've had in the past.